Hi, Chestnut Grove. This is Pastor Andy Gathman, working on our third practice in our How to Pray series. And we're going to be looking at the prayer of examination. This builds on the previous lesson, which invites us to go behind the mask and to seek God in helping us uncover honestly what our connection with God has been like. And to pray the prayer of examination, the first thing you want to do is choose a period of time to examine. Now, if you're praying the prayer of examination at the end of the day, you probably want to just consider thinking through the day that has passed. If you do it less regularly than daily, perhaps you want to think through the last few days or the past week. But pick whatever period of time you want to examine and then open your heart to God. And when you're centered and aware of God's presence, you simply go ahead and move through three main movements. The first is you ask God to help you call to mind the times when God seemed near. So when in looking back over that period of time was God's presence evident? When did you notice connection with God? And this might be something that you were consciously aware of at the time, but it also might be something that until you started thinking about it, you didn't realize that God was with you. But now when you look back, maybe it was you were going on a walk and you noticed something beautiful and your heart was warmed. And upon retrospect, you say to yourself, God was with me in that moment. I didn't even notice. Second, you go back and look over that same period of time and ask God to help you call to mind times when God seemed far. So when in looking back, did God seem absent from you? When did you sense disconnection with God? Or when did you notice yourself actually turning away from God? Again, this might be something that was conscious, or maybe it was subconscious. You didn't really notice it at the time, but now looking back, you can say, when I was really angry at that time, or when I felt really worried or anxious, that was sort of when I felt God was far away, or didn't have any sense that God was with me at all. And particularly with this second movement, it's important that we be honest. Remember the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector. We need to be willing to be honest with God about those parts where God seemed far, or where we ourselves were running away from God. Remembering that God gives us grace through Jesus Christ, and God wants to give us the mercy that we all long for and need. So let that thought help you to be honest as you try to call to mind times when God seemed far. Finally, you want to invite God in to help you reflect on what you observed in those first two movements. And pay attention to the Spirit's leading about your relationship with God as you've looked over the previous period of time that you were examining. Maybe God helps you call to mind an awareness of particular needs, or the presence of particular patterns, or some actions that you may feel led to take. The point isn't necessarily to problem solve, but simply to be open to God's leading as you consider your connection and disconnection with God. Of course, the hope is that God would lead us to a deeper level of connection, and a regular prayer of examination can help us begin to discover what that might look like over time. Now, you can do this in your own head as you're praying silently, but you can also write it out in a journal type form. And if you see the handout on the website, you can see that there's a little format that enables you to do your reflection on connection, disconnection, and reflection. Thanks for joining me for part 3 on our How to Pray series. And if you'd like to connect with others who are also on this journey, please email the church office, connect@chestnutgrovechurch.net. And if you'd like some more resources or want to learn more about our church, you can find that on our website, chestnutgrovechurch.net. You can also find us on Facebook, where you can see recent sermons and other things that our congregation is up to. May God be with you as you continue to try to go behind the mask and more closely examine your daily connection with God.